Hi, everybody, and welcome to the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame Legends Lounge, where we're going to meet over the next 15 weeks and introduce you to the honored members of the classes of 2019 and 2020 that were inducted into the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame. My name's Dan Egan. I'm your host for the series, and it's an honor to be hosting this with so many legends we're going to introduce to you over the next 15 weeks. But first, I'd like to bring up our good friend and the executive director of the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame, Justin Koski. Justin, how you doing?
Good, Dan. Thanks for having host duties here. This is going to be a great series. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, now you've been thinking about this for a long time to come up with a host series like this. Tell us how it originated.
Well, we're trying. We've got basically two classes right now: the class of 2019 and the most recent elected and appointed class of 2020. Both who, as a result of the pandemic, are sitting here kind of in that proverbial stuck on the tarmac, waiting to take off stage, and will be for some indefinite period of time. We're just now this fall realizing that the event in April of 2021 likely or will not happen, but will rather be postponed. So each one of our guests is kind of patiently waiting. We're doing this series came up as an idea, as a way to really get these people's friends and fans engaged, keep our people apprised as to what we're doing, and really provide a virtual way to honor and celebrate these people just while we wait until they can actually get that valued time on the stage where their friends and family can meet during live physical events again, Dan.
The annual induction to the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame moves around from different ski resorts year to year. It's one of the highlights of the ski industry annual calendar. It brings together all the biggest names in the industry, from the resorts, manufacturing, athletes, and of course the people who built the ski areas and who impacted our ski and snowboard industry so much. Tonight, of course, we're really honored and excited to bring to you a legend, somebody who joins the museum in the Hall of Fame in a very unique category as a filmmaker. He joins the likes of Warren Miller, Dick Durrance, John Jay, and of course, Dick Barrymore. It's the one and only Mr. Greg Stump.
Hello.
Greg, there you are, my friend, all COVIDed out. How are you?
Well, we're social distancing, right?
That's right. And where are you keeping your 6 feet from us from? Where you tuning in from?
Well, I'm in Prineville, Oregon, Dan and Justin, which is about 45 minutes northeast of Bend. High desert with water, one of the oldest city in Central Oregon. And yes, I've been hiding here.
Well,
me and my uncle D.B. Cooper.
It's congratulations to you, Greg, for being inducted into the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame. Of course, I know that you're a historian yourself, and you appreciate John Jay and Dick Barrymore and Warren Miller, of course. And when you look back over those filmmakers, how did they impact and help shape the movies you made?
Well, the big thing really, narration. John Jay. I mean, if you listen to Warren Miller, he's actually imitating. Dad, this mask is not doing it for me. They're great narrators, and that was the thing with with John Jay and Warren, of course, and Barrymore. They were all really good narrators, and I think that was the one thing that I could do much better than the filmmaking part was narrate.
Well, I think that's true. I think that your narration is. I've always really enjoyed the tone of your voice, the pace of your voice, and I've always thought that your films really brought together a mix of music and narration. It was in the storytelling that made me want to sit back, but it was in the music that pulled me forward, with the footage. I mean, I know music was a big part of your films. But there was a really intentional mix between the narration and the music, right?
Yeah, well, because I worked in radio, so I was I was an audio producer, because I cut commercials, and I knew all that part before I ever tried to make a ski film or any kind of film. So yes, mixing the music, the narration, and That's why I'm back trying to do a radio show now.
I love that. And of course, Justin, you see all these names, all these applications come across your desk every year for the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame. When you received the Greg Stump film, the Greg Stump application with so many accomplishments, I was wondering what really struck you.
Well, I mean, of course, familiar with all the films. The filmmakers are always, an interesting spot here in the museum, the way they're featured, the way that our video archive is, it sort of draws people just because of the interaction it provides, with Greg, the music. I'm a huge music fan. I was a big, punk rock and ska guy. And, back first seeing these movies, that always resonated with me. The one thing with Greg is the competition end of things, ballet skiing. It's close to my heart, Greg. I know, all the greats, the people that you competed with. Tell us about ballet skiing. You did the deck, you did everything.
Well, 3 out of 4 American males have had a ballet experience.
That they talk about or they don't talk about?
Those are your words, Dan. No, well, ballet skiing was great because it was as Steve Rechtschaffner put it, it was the only place a straight guy could dance.
That's great.
That was a nervous chuckle there, Justin. But it was fun. It was dance. It was putting, the human form into movement with music, which is really what I was doing with my movies. I was trying to make the skier dance to the music.
You came from the hotspot of Shawnee Peak and Pleasant Mountain back in the day in beautiful Bridgeton, Maine. There was quite a hot dogging scene there, wasn't there?
Oh yeah, it was a big deal. Well, Rudy Wersch, who was he was a former Swiss ski team racer, but he could do Royal Christies and javelin turns. And then he brought his own instructors like Freddie. We had a bunch of Swiss guys that could do tricks, So that was what we wanted to do as kids, is imitate them.
And tell us a little bit more about that ski career, because obviously you went around the world and competed nationally from Pleasant Mountain onto the big stage.
Yeah, well, it wasn't just me. We had Lily Morrison, Joe McWilliams. Like the kid skiers from Maine were amazing. Lily, Joan McWilliams, Frank Howell, Danny Kagan, Ferrer, me, my brother and sister. So it was just, it was a kid sport. It was fun.
And so, of course, Greg, your legendary film Blizzard of Oz was a huge hit. And is seen really as a transformational film. We're going to bring up just some of your titles right now on the screen, but Blizzard was really, a game changer for a lot of reasons. And when you think about Blizzard, did you know at the time as you were creating it that it was going to sort of be a blockbuster?
Well, once we saw the footage from Squaw Valley, and we didn't see that because it was film. So, film sends it to the lab, gets developed, gets telecinied, and then finally we get video copies of it. So we didn't see that Squaw Valley stuff until we were in Chamonix, and we were actually at Solomon in Annecy because they had a theater and they had a 3/4 inch video deck. But we watched that raw footage, and it's funny that we'd not seen it. And then Glenn looks at me and goes, "Slap a cover on it. It's done." And he was right.
That's great. So we're gonna show part of the Chamonix segment right now from Blizzard of Oz.
Champagne dreams, caviar wishes, watch them go from rags to riches, money to burn, money to give away.
Lifestyles of the rich and famous, look at them. Who can blame us? Lessons in the subject of decay. Come tomorrow, the dream might blow away. Guilt and sorrow
So that's, I love that. One of the things, Greg, about the movie was the three characters. I mean, you had Glenn Plake, you had Mike Hattrip, and of course, Scott Schmidt. And you really couldn't bring together three different styles of skiing. I'm wondering how that created everything that was to be Blizzard.
Well, I mean, Glenn wasn't even going to be in the movie, because I don't. Did you know Glenn back then?
Only because he showed up to film with you and the Squaw Valley segment.
Yeah, he was a bit of a handful,
right?
So I didn't want him. Because I was very conscientious of being. I didn't want anybody on my crew or anything being with the ugly American in Europe. That was, I'd gone to school in England and spent a lot of time in London and in the theater and stuff. And so I just was very aware that I didn't want, the ugly American in Europe because it was, it's embarrassment. And Glenn, because Lynn broke her back. So Lynn got hurt. And then everybody's like, you got to, because everybody but me wanted Plake around because they didn't have to deal with him. Because one of the big things that we were doing is that we were shooting Aeroflex SR2s with a crystal sink, so that the real time, because when you shot real time on a wind-up camera or, on even an ARRI-S, it wasn't exactly right. It was 22 frames per second. It was, it wasn't exactly 29.97, which is what Crystal Sync did. So my real time, so when I would go from slow motion in the song there, when I go like with the solo, when it kind of riffed back into what felt like it should be real time, my real time was real time, and Warren Miller didn't do that, Barrymore did, none of them. The people in France were doing a bit more of that. What were those guys? The Apocalypse Snow guys. But it's just interesting looking at that because we were doing a lot of stuff technically that no other, because it was it was too much weight for one thing to carry, which is why I had to have a discectomy L5S1. Ultimately, because it was it was more work to make it to get those images.
It's really a great example of how the music works with the skiing. And of course, one thing I love about those classic ski films is you showed the skiing. You let the skiing develop. You let the run develop. It wasn't the quick cuts we see today. I'm a big fan of watching the skiers ski. And there again, you just have three very unique styles in Glenn, Scott, and Mike.
Well, I went through Good, the Rad, the Gnarly, the movie before Blizzard of Oz. I didn't show the landings. I didn't show a complete, whether it was a runner, I didn't show the complete athleticism because I was too involved, or not too involved, but I was too trying to make it go to the beat. Because MTV, I was just trying to make it like a disco dance thing. So I got out of that stage, fortunately, but mostly because a lot of my friends like, you don't show the landings. I'm like, oh, you're right. But it didn't occur to me. I was just trying to get the moment to go to the music. So Blizzard is a maturation, Dan, of that's my fifth movie. A lot of people think what a great first ski movie, but it was my fifth. Live and learn, right?
Yeah, overnight success after 5 films, and I know exactly what you mean. And of course, but it was the beginning of something special, right? It was the beginning of a transformation for the industry and into extreme sports, clothing, and of course, video and VHS tapes and VCRs. And you were doing all this out of Portland, out of your condo, and bring us back to the early days. You're working with Carl Abbey and you have sponsors, but you're it's a grind, right?
But it was tons of work, but it didn't seem it because it was fun. So it didn't seem like work. It was like we were on this little magic carpet ride. So it didn't seem like work, although, it was, of course it was work, but so was a paper route at 4:30 a.m. in the freezing freaking rain in Gorham, Maine.
I delivered for USA Today, Greg. I was a USA Today deliverer.
That was color. That was color paper. Doesn't count.
And when you do this, of course, you had an amazing college tour with your film that went hand in hand with that. How did you penetrate that market into the college tour, which just blew up?
Well, that was Carl Abbey, because we had Swatch as a sponsor, so Rex Schaffner, Steve, and it was Carl's brainchild to do, he do a college tour, and we made the movie available, and this wasn't just with Blizzard, like, from when Carl came on in Maltese, like that was his whole brainchild was, we got to, market to college campuses and make the movie available there, and that's how we penetrated, Dan.
Well, it was very successful and really added a lot. And I think that today, when people, of course, remember your films, a lot of us were on the college campuses at the time. I'll never forget the first time I saw Blizzard. I was at the Hartford Ski Show, and it stopped me in my tracks when I watched that movie.
Yeah, it had something, and I mean, I knew it at the time. Like, I even sat down with my best friend Dave Farrer, because Warren Miller was very competitive at that point. And I thought, well, Kurt Miller's going to run me over the bus, Justin. No, I thought, fuck, they'd love to kill me, because Warren Miller tried to buy Greg Stump Productions early on, because they thought, well, we'll be like Pepsi owning Taco Bell, and a bunch of, we'll own you, and you don't tell anyone that we own you. And I was like, yeah, I don't think so. But I didn't like Warren Miller movies, and I didn't want to be a part of that umbrella.
Justin, of course, films, when you come into the Hall of Fame, is a big part. You have a beautiful theater there at the Hall, and just tell us the role that films play at the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, just same as they do out in real life, when they come out, when they become legendary, when they become something you go back to and watch. They're the fuel of what gets people excited, both every year and when they come tour the museum here. Whether it's watching one of these iconic classics that Greg did, watching something even before that's black and white, that looks kind of goofy. It really plays a huge role, in bringing people back, getting people on the slopes every year. And there's something, it seems like there's something that resonates with every movie to every skier. What one skier might watch a film and go, man, 95% of that sucked, but this 5% is my jam, and I like that, and I'm going to watch that part of it. It seems to be like that. That continues to be the case with almost every ski movie, at least that I watch. That's just my opinion. But here at the museum, it's the one thing that's interactive. It's the one thing that's loud, especially with Greg's films. I love the analogy at the beginning of this interview where he talked about, his role as a producer of getting these skiers to dance to music, whether it's up on the hill, envisioning the shot, or in the studio, or post film, really putting things together. It really, truly is artistic, you know, and it's something I think everybody can really appreciate at some level.
Of course, Blizzard launched the career of Scott Schmidt, Glenn Plake, and Mike Hatrip. And the next film was License to Thrill. It's an iconic open, and it's one I'll never forget. And again, it opens up with personality, switch over to music, and an amazing footage. Let's watch the start of License to Thrill.
Driving down the road, the total redneck cop pulls us over. Walks up, big old huge booth. There's like 6 camera angles, license and registration. License? Then I open up the glove box, all sorts of stuff comes in. I reach in there, pull out exactly what I want, hand it to him. Like, you know, like this is it. He looks at it, goes, "This is a license to thrill."
Chimney is naturally the most exciting. It has about 3, maybe 4 lines in it, depending on how rowdy you want to get. There's the chimney sweep is the far one. It's way over there with the corners hanging over it. So you drop in, catch about maybe 20 feet of air, land, get it together, and then what's tricky about this thing is the bottom part of it. It's like a 90-meter jump. You know, it just really sends you out there. It's scary. And you get what really blows you away more than anything else is the speed you get out of there.
I love that open, and of course Palisades is classic. You shot at Squaw Valley quite a bit, and all the places you've shot, what was it about Squaw that you really liked, Greg?
Well, it was easy. You could get to these angles, you know, with the cameras. That you know, it wasn't like the Alps where you had to, you know, drag, you know, all these cameras. And, you know, watching that sequence, I'm recalling, we also had a Photosonics camera that we owned. And, you know, once again, that was a camera that could go up to 400-500 frames a second, depending on how warm it was, which was, you know, it changed the feel of my movies to go with these super high-speed cameras. But we had one, you know, and again, you know, Warren Miller didn't use those because it was too much work. What was your question again, Dan?
Well, I just love that because there are so many great angles at Squaw Valley, and there's so many great, it's like shooting, you know, it's beautiful, and there's a lot of great angles.
Ducks in a barrel. It was ducks in a barrel, you know, it was like really easy to shoot there because you could, you know, the cameraman could shoot, you know, it was just easy compared to, you know, like the Alps and Chamonix in particular. But yeah, Squaw was great. Did you ever read Squallywood?
Oh, of course. Legendary. Yeah. But you were way ahead of Squallywood, of course. Back then, we did call it Squallywood, but way ahead of Shane McConkey's time and the release of Squallywood.
I liked Shane. He was so funny. I didn't know him very well, but what a funny, oh my goodness.
Amazing. Amazing. He was a great person and changed the industry and is an honored member of the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame.
See, everybody's in there before me.
He was. And what year did Shane come in, Justin?
I don't know. I lost track.
2010 with same as Glenn Plake, actually.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, they both came in the same year.
That's great. Of course, we're talking with legendary filmmaker Greg Stump, class of 2019, inducted into the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame. And during this time of COVID, we're honoring the inductees during the Legends Lounge right here, releasing these video series over the next 15 weeks. There's so much to talk about with Greg because you did so much, Greg, and you impacted the industry. I wonder now, you know, as you look back, can you sort of verbalize the impact that you had on the ski industry?
No.
That's unbelievable, Greg.
Well, I don't know. How do I verbalize it? I was just a conduit. Extreme existed obviously with the French. So I'm basically a journalist. So my impact, I just collected, I'm a people collector, a story collector. And, so I'm not extreme.
Right. Nothing about you is on the edge, Greg. Nothing at all. I wonder, you always had great titles to the movie. And how did that come to be? Blizzard of Oz, License to Thrill, P-Tex Lies, and Duct Tape. What was the motivation for coming up with these titles that were right in the public's mind and sort of mimicked other big films?
Well, mature artists imitate, immature artists steal. That's backwards, actually. But immature artists, never mind. I don't know. I had a lot of time in the shower.
It was very creative. And up next here on the Legends Lounge, it's going to be P-Tex Lies and Duct Tape.
There's no reason for you to lose your mind, 'cause I've seen something that's gonna change our time. If I could, I'd make you understand. If I could, I'd make you understand. There's no hurry, it's gonna come for sure, 'cause I know that someday we're gonna end our war. If I could, I'd make you understand.
When I watch that, Greg, I'm right there. The music, the footage, it puts you into a place. And this time of year, thinking about all the places we can go and can't go, I wonder what it's like for you to watch that.
That's a thank you for playing that bit, because it's a beautiful bit. And interestingly enough, of course, that's Seal and Joni Mitchell, and that's the only Seal song I've ever heard played on KCRW in Santa Monica. And I when I heard it, I go, Seal, they're playing If I Could. And he wrote back that was just this amazing point in his journey, as he put it, where you get to work with Joni Mitchell and harmonize with her and sing with her. Because that's just I think P-Tex that's a pretty good movie.
It's really
I got a tear in my eye watching that.
Well, that's nice. I mean, it's the power of the medium, and I think it's really unique to you, Greg, to put music and footage together in that way. And it's
and again, Dan, it's the dance.
It's
It's trying to make the athlete dance. It's like figure skating or something. When ballet skiing. I mean, making films was just an extension of ballet skiing.
Yeah. I heard that when that first came on, Greg. I was like, man, is that Seal? That's Seal. That's for surely Seal.
And Joni Mitchell.
Yeah. Just watching and listening to that. I mean, that's what, 1993 or whatever that came out.
Typically, a little bit later than that.
A little bit later, you typically see that kind of ski footage in that time. I mean, that was the year the self-titled Rage Against the Machine, album came out. You'd see, this extreme music behind this extreme skiing, and it just really, I honestly think, and Dan alluded to this earlier, I really think it forces the listener to really focus on the beauty of the art of skiing because of, the backdrop, because of the tunes, because of the soundtrack, to really, watch the artistic, movement of the skier, instead of just, moshing out to the craziness. And
yeah,
I'm a huge craziness
poetry.
fan.
There's poetry. There's a subtleness to it. That's it's not me. Fortunately, I got to use that track, or not use it, but work with it, because it's just beautiful. I mean, Seal and Joni Mitchell. I mean, come on.
No,
but Trevor Horn's production too. That's also Trevor's production. So.
And it's amazing, Greg, that you were able to land these types of relationships. You had the relationships with the music industry, you had the relationship with the skiers, and of course the sponsors, to make it all happen. I remember even back at the time that was just so hard to achieve, such high level of these relationships. How did the music side come to be? Was that through your being a DJ?
Well, yes. At least I knew. Dan, is my hair okay? I
think I like it.
Well, the music thing was, my whole career is really strange that it all worked. But it was all about, trying to create art, and because Warren and Barrymore, all of them. I remember when I skied for Barrymore, I turned him on to James Taylor. I turned him on to Earth, Wind, and Fire. And I go, you have to put this music in your movie. And he's like, you can't do it. And the reason they couldn't do it, and Warren in particular, because he was so big, is, if Warren went to, whomever, and because it'd be $100,000 a track, because, Warren had the money. Whereas with me, I would build the edit. And this is what happened with Adam Yauch from the Beastie Boys and Iggy Pop. I made the edit and then got it to them, and they're just like, hell yeah. So it was all about the artist approving of how I mixed it all together and edited it. Because then once the artist gives approval, and the record company, they're kind of dead in the water with, you have to approve this.
I love the boldness. The boldness is what it was all about. And there was a lot of boldness in your films, a lot of boldness in the places you went, and a lot of boldness in the skiers and how they skied. And, you know, your relationship with Scott Schmidt, how did that come to be? And was it easy to convince him to ski for you because he had been such a long time Warren Miller skier?
No, he didn't want to do it. You know, because my movies before Blizzard of Oz, Good, the Rather Gnarly, Maltese Flamingo, you know, we were bump skiers. So these were bump skiing movies with weird music and, you know, sophomoric humor, which is my specialty, by the way. But so Scott was very leery. Like, the only reason he did Blizzard is because I had a budget. I had all that Swatch money. So he could come to Chamonix, which he knew very well because, you know, he was working with Shapiro and Ace Cavalli and Verbier. But Scott was very skeptical. I mean, I have a really bad story about the first time I met him in person.
Well, we'll come after hours in the Legends Lounge for the off-color stories and that sort of thing. But next up on the greatest hits of Greg Stump, of course, it's Groove Requiem.
Requiem, Dan. Enunciate it properly, please.
It's that Boston. I just can't say it right for me, Greg. Say it right.
Groove Requiem in the key of ski.
Thank you.
Requiem. Like, there's no R after the Q.
Got to be from Boston.
Yeah.
It was Alaska, the last frontier in the American Empire, and our final stop. We were here with snowboarder Dan Donnelly and renowned extreme skier Scott Schmidt. We had come to Valdez as the guests of the Saint Lodge, the local heli-ski operation. This was an outpost of very few rules beyond kindness and responsibility. When you heli-ski here, there's no contract, release, or document. The pilot drops you off where you tell him to. Your safe return to civilization is entirely dependent on your respect for nature and your own personal limits. Our pilot was the American dream. As a young man, Chet learned to fly helicopters in Vietnam. He still wears the chain from the tail rotor from the first of the 6 helicopters he crashed while there. After Vietnam, armed with enough military medals to sink a small boat, Chet moved to Alaska to escape the regulations, hassle, and rat race of the lower 48. Now he runs the finest heli-ski service in the world. We waited out a late spring snowstorm at the Saint Lodge, and then got the nugget we were looking for. Total freedom, fresh powder, and a helicopter with a great stereo.
Only childhood. A man decides after 70 years that what he goes there for is to unlock the door. Well, those around him criticize and sleep. Through a fractal on a breaking wall, I see you, my friend, and touch your face again. Miracles will happen as we dream. But we're never gonna survive unless we get a little crazy. No, we're never gonna survive unless we are a little crazy.
So amazing. I think that clip brings it all together. The opening narration, the pacing, the story, the characters, and launches into amazing footage with great skiers and amazing music. It's amazing, Greg. And really congratulations to being inducted into U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame, class of 2019. So many people have asked me over recently, what does Greg do now? What he's up to? I know that you've had a couple of big things happen as far as producing, and one is tied into the Super Bowl. Tell us about that.
Oh, that was well. Just watching that sequence, because Seal told me that because I didn't know him when I did that edit.
Oh.
I was getting DAT tapes out of ZTT in London because the engineers were sending me early mixes of Crazy, which so anyway, so I was getting all these early mixes and putting that together, but because boy, that's a nice sequence.
It's a beautiful sequence. I mean, and again, I love the narration and the story of Chet and all that. You must have loved writing stuff like that as well.
Yeah, well, it was, yeah. And my father watched the rough edit of that thing, and he was like, he was always like, "Have you ever thought about writing?"
I get a question, Greg. The locals just blasting their shotguns at some wall, was that prompted by you, or did you just come upon that and be like, "Man, this is gold"?
I wasn't even there. Like, that sequence was shot by Christian Schneider and David Frazee. I mean, I arranged it. I sent them there, but I wasn't there.
Yeah.
So that was actually late footage because Groove was probably not going to be a very good movie without that Alaska footage, and that stuff came in late. But again, like my thing, unlike Warren Miller, there's no company. This was just like it was very small time. Yeah. But again, Seal told me, he goes, that movie broke me in North America, and I'm like, yeah, right. He goes, no, it did. He goes, yeah, because he was just beginning to snowboard at the time, so he was living in Los Angeles, and he'd go to the ski shop, the snowboard shop, and people would come up to him and go, I love what you did in the new Greg Stump movie. And Seal's like, no, what a fuck, right? And he finally, so many people came up to him and said, I love this new, and he calls his manager in England. He goes, he's like, what bloody ski movie are we in? And his manager goes, oh, it's no big deal. It's this friend of Trevor's. It's just this little ski movie. And he goes, well, I think it is a big deal because so many people came up to him. But Seal would have broken anyway. But once again, I just poured a little gasoline in the fire, I guess. No, but I don't, because that's a beautiful sequence. That's really, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful. And the last, all of your sequences have the element that so many have tried to recapture and I would say come up short. It has all the elements of a great ski film because it's aspirational.
Yeah, no one can be shorter than me.
Well, no, nobody can, and nobody stands taller in the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame. The Greg Stump inducted into the class of 2019 in the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame, and it's an honor, Greg. I always like keep catching up with you. You keep it colorful and you keep it light, and thanks for joining us right here on the Legends Lounge. Huh?
That's it.
Well, what else? What do you have to add, my friend? We can always keep rolling.
How about that list, Greg?
Wow, that's right.
Oh, we got to go to the list. Well, is there time for the list?
I don't know.
What
is this going to be, a TV show?
Let's go to the list. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a list of all the people that Greg Stump potentially didn't have time to thank had he been inducted in the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame in Sun Valley, Idaho. Greg, tell us about the list.
Well, Dan, again, the New England accent really comes into play there. When you say, I can't even do it because it's ski and snowboard. There's an R in board. Ski and snowboard.
You got to pack your car. You got to pack the car.
I know. Deegan Media, Christ almighty, you better not need any eyes. That's the trick to the Maine accent. Or the New England accent, Maine in particular. You gotta drop the I.
Don't forget your roots, Greg.
I was born in freaking San Diego, Deegan. You probably you probably born at your house up there in Concord or something.
So we of course we have to somehow limit the amount of time.
Born in London or something.
We have to limit the amount of time everybody can have on stage. And Greg Stump, wanted to thank a whole lot of people.
Well, it was a full-on stand-up routine. It was going to be I rehearsed it. Once you do a few funerals, you get your chops. Right? No, I'm serious. So I was ready, and there was no way I was going to do 3.5 minutes, which is the only confrontation I had with Justin is about the timing.
Dan, let me clarify this just for people watching this, because you're saying inducted, and I think it's important to clarify. Maybe it's elected. We didn't get to have an induction in March, but we remain committed to picking back up when we're able to have safe and physical events. So Greg and his fellow classmates in 2019 there, all 7 of them will get their stage time. This presentation that Greg's talking about will eventually one day be a thing. It will be recorded, and Greg's just getting more time to rehearse and think about all the things that he wants to say, all the people that he needs to thank. So yeah, Greg's elected. We're super excited. There will be an induction.
When do I get my mug?
Like I said, I'm the shipping department too. I gotta find some bubble.
What else? Are there more than mugs? Like, are there pens?
There could be a pen.
Oh, look at that! Come on.
There could be something else involved. I got these little.
I need a mug. Like, I drank a lot of coffee. Oh boy, watching that seal sequence. That's a good edit, man. That's nice.
It's a good edit.
You know what I like too from you don't have any of that Beastie Boys stuff queued up, do you?
Greg, I'm wondering do you watch ski? Do you still watch ski movies? Do you ever watch recent ski films?
No, I gave up about, 15, 20 years ago.
You don't watch them?
No.
Nice.
When's the last time you skied, Greg?
Huh?
When's the last time you're on skis?
Well, I need an ankle replacement. So the last time I skied was at Rantargi, where Dan and his brother got famous by defying death. That's the best bit in that whole Warren Miller ski bum movie. Is like that's just unreal that you guys didn't die.
It was amazing that we survived that.
Now, who was in front? You?
I was in front. I kicked it. I broke it.
So you're just trying to kill your older brother, Dan.
It's been a lifelong
quest.
Life
Unsuccessful.
He started before me.
That's funny.
Yeah. Well,
are you going to make a TV show out of this, Justin?
We're going to try to make a series where people can come and enjoy this stuff. Maybe turn them on to these fantastic movies. I want to go home and watch one tonight. But yeah, we hope to get everybody on, Greg, your class and the class that was elected this fall, because there's not going to be an induction in the spring again. These guys are going to be in your boat, just kind of waiting it out. Right, just can't wait. The anticipation's killing Greg.
My lifeboat.
Exactly.
I'm not feeling this hair, Dan. Are you? It's something's wrong. It's like
think...
Zorg. You like the Fifth Element? It's like Zorg gone nuts. Oh, that's a little more distinguished.
Greg Stump, what a legend! He really transformed the ski industry with his films in the 80s and the 90s. As he mixed together music, great skiing, amazing locations, and of course his storytelling. Justin, it's really something, you have such a wide variety of people in the U.S. Skiing Hall of Fame. Greg Stump really stands alone.
There's no one quite like him. It's been such a great interview. We can't wait for live physical events again where we can really fully pay homage and really honor and celebrate yet another legend, like you mentioned, joining the ranks of the top echelon, other filmmakers that have really brought people to the slopes, Dan.
It's amazing. The ski films inspire us all to get out there and live our own sort of ski movie every year. Hey, keep tuned in right here on the Legends Lounge at the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame as we bring forward to you people who are going to be inducted into U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame, the class of 2019 and 2020. I'm Dan Egan, and thanks for joining us.